All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of On Deck with Big 12 Studios. I'm Casey Honigbaum. Today we're joined by a very special guest. He's the founder of Pencil Talk, it's a brilliant way of telling stories about all collegiate athletes, specifically baseball, which is what we're talking about today. He's the Flops on the Ground, which I'll let him talk about a little bit more, but Flops on the Ground reporter for D1 Baseball and a co-host of the 11.7, the College Baseball Podcast. Jack Delongchamps. Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, dude, Casey, no, I appreciate your time more than for letting me come hang out and talk some ball, dude.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you. Like I said, can you tell the people before we start, talk about Flops on the Ground? What is that for those who might not know?
All right, so my fellow Texans, you got to hear me out here a little bit. My whole family is from the Houston area. So it's cowboy boots galore. But you got to understand, I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, despite all my family being out in Texas. I haven't worn a pair of closed-toe shoes since I was like 7 years old. It's if you're not going to be genuine and true to you, who is, man? So flops on the ground instead of boots on the ground is quite simply, well, it's hot out. I just wanted to wear my flip-flops to the ballpark. It ain't that hard, right? You get a couple peculiar looks when you're in the media room, though, when you're rocking in with some rainbow flip-flops, but part of the brand.
Yeah, that's right. You rock it. You walk in with some flip-flops and a pencil, and people are like, "Who the heck is this guy?" But you do the work, so it's awesome. Well, let's jump into some baseball questions. I want to ask you right off the bat, just what does conference championship weekend mean to you in general as a steward of the college baseball game?
Dude, I think a lot of people in March Madness have caught on that I think conference tournament week's better than the actual tournament. Like, I really do. Like, there's no other time of the year where today, starting at 9 a.m. Central Time, you can watch baseball until quite literally 2 o'clock in the morning time. It's electric and inject all of the vibes into my veins. Man, it's why I'm really honored that you brought me on to this pod in particular, because I'm here in Hoover, really excited to help broadcast just tell stories at the SEC tournament this week. It's going to be incredible. But your tournament in particular, what's on the line this week in the Big 12 might have more implications than any tournament in the country this week. I don't say that pandering towards your audience. I'm just saying the truth. Like from the top down, you're looking at teams vying for national host sites, for regional host sites, but then more importantly, teams that have to win to get in. Yeah. Maybe one or two wins a win from getting into the tournament. So, man, the implications, the repercussions of the Big 12 tournament, like it's understanding you're watching guys' potential last time on a diamond. Or are they going to prolong their life into this magical, Omaha run where we've seen a lot of Big 12 teams make a shot at Omaha and vie for a championship, and it all happens this week.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of college sports. Sometimes watching that potential last run at playing the sport that they love. I want to ask, because obviously you just mentioned it. You're currently in Hoover at the SEC tournament. Obviously, we're talking a little Big 12 ball. Can you give me an overarching view on your thoughts on the Big 12 conference and kind of how they stack up when you look at the rest of the college baseball field?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think obviously the SEC is having a historic run this year. Last year, the ACC getting 4 teams into the College World Series. I think it's really easy for people to forget that the Big 12 has got powerhouse programs with first-round talent littered throughout the rosters. Like it's going to be insane. You're going to go, why weren't we watching them all year? Well, because you weren't paying attention. I know my guys over at College Baseball Central, Noah Darling and Mike Butel, do great work, and they've helped fuel my love for this conference this year, because they've just gone 10 toes down. And obviously my employer, Kendall Rogers, who's in Big 12 country, there's so many people doing such great work in the Big 12. That I just think from a fan's perspective, you're like, we got to get these guys on national TV more. And I think that's where the conversation needs to start. So to answer your question, though, as I give you my little pitch to get people to lock in,
we appreciate it. I love it. Yeah.
To me, I've been on these guys all season long. I think TCU is a college baseball blue blood in a way. Like Kirk Saarloos, what he's done with that program, to your point, a fellow flip-flop lover, they're a team to me that really can make an Omaha run when you look at that freshman class paired with some of their veterans. What Kansas did this year, so fun, like just so much fun. Kansas State was fantastic with transfers in the likes of D. Kennedy. To me, the conversation is West Virginia, though. Like, I don't know how many people saw them being able to replicate what they did a year ago in the Super. It was a historic run for their program. Coach Mazey's last season. So in this league, where do they stack up? And I think that's what's so much fun about the Big 12 is you have no idea what's going to happen at all times. Like it's pandemonium. So they're a team that struggled of late. What I believe they're 2-7 in their last 9 games since that Kansas series. So they're a team that's really interesting because their play probably translates to your host site this week better than anybody. They're station to station. They play small ball. They move runners. And in a big ballpark, can they get going and get hot? I'd love to see them host a regional up in Morgantown yet again. So, man, where does this conference stack up? Their landscape, it's organized chaos.
I couldn't agree more. It's kind of funny. They work in a very similar way to what Big 12 football did this past year, where it was like you had a team at the top in Utah. It's like, yeah, they're going to be the one. You had a team at the top in Oklahoma State for baseball. Yeah, they're going to be the one. And it ended up completely flip-flopping. So it's very interesting. But you mentioned a team that I want to ask your opinion on and dive a little deeper on, and that's Kansas. A couple of big transfers, Jackson Hauge, Brady Ballinger, who have been huge for them. Division II transfers coming up to the D1 level, Power 5 conference and just killing it. But you mentioned West Virginia. Obviously, they won the regular season championship. But then you look at the standings and you're like, Kansas is right there. So I want to ask your opinion on them and where you see them stacking up as we head into to postseason play here.
Well, I think it's cool, too. Like, when you pour gas on the fire, you're going to see your turn on your investment often. To see like their student sections in late February when it's freezing cold, like, oh man, they're building something. And you mentioned two dudes that a lot of people poo-poo on the transfer portal and the landscape. What college baseball has done, not only in this era, but really for a long time, has gone and found those hidden gems where the margin of difference between a D1 All-American and a stud at the D2, D3 junior college level is so slim. Sometimes it's just opportunity. So a school like Kansas that knows, hey, from an NIL standpoint, we have to be different. It's been really cool to see them recruit in a way that is advantageous for not only their program, but also for their landscape and where they lie in it. So, yes, I think it's a team that there's going to be someone in the Big 12 that upsets an SEC team in a regional. Like it happens every year. I bite my tongue and I was going to go ahead and like make my claim because there's 8 or 5 schools that could do it. Like, don't let Cincinnati in with Bishop Ball. Carrington Cross could win a regional by himself. Kansas is a little bit different where it's a different guy every night that gets to play superstar, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, and that's it's advantageous for a team to have a roster like that where you don't have to just rely on one guy, like you said. Talk about a couple. You mentioned TCU as one of kind of the blue bloods of college baseball in a sense. There's a couple other schools that kind of fall into that similar category, and it's both their first years in the Big 12. I'm talking Arizona, Arizona State. Did they, I guess I want to ask you, because both of them are expected to make the round of 64. Did they meet? Did they exceed? Did they underperform your expectations coming into the Big 12 conference this year at all, if you had any for them?
Yeah, I joked about it all year. We do like our weekend series pick'ems for 1 and 11.7. I think I'm the state of Arizona's kryptonite. Like truthfully, like every time I was on them, they lost, and every time I picked against them, I couldn't get on the right side. So if that tells you the kind of season that they had, I don't think they won. But it was an up and down year, and I think that there's a travel aspect of this. Like this isn't football. Like this isn't traveling 3 days out and getting your bearings. Like this is a Thursday flight, a late night practice, and like, all right, let's roll the dice and see what happens. And I think that a lot of fans and maybe casuals like myself are going, man, you look at these programs and their brands. Well, surely they'll go into Cincinnati and boat race them. Well, these are really good programs in the Big 12. Like this isn't just going to be like roll over and like they'll let you walk in and win. Winning on the road, like if you go look at both of their home road splits this season, it's very telling, like where a lot of the mishaps were this year. So they're still studs. Like for me, like a guy like Adonis Guzman down at Arizona, like he's a Buster Posey semifinalist. Like
Mhm.
there's still an insane amount of talent. It's about getting it going. And you're right. I think both of those teams. I know there might need to be a little bit of work to do for Arizona
Yeah.
State, but
Yeah.
I think they both deserve to get in. But you're right. Like, don't let them catch fire in the regional, for God's sake. Like, we know that what these programs can do. It's just, can they play consistent baseball, which feels like it's been their Achilles heel for really the entire state.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's worth mentioning too. Arizona played, some of their year without Brendan Summerhill, who was a projected top 10 pick at the beginning of the year. So it's, it goes a little bit of both ways. But yeah, absolutely. And when you look at it's interesting to, especially down these last few weeks, to look at where the Big 12 has been in terms of how many teams are projected to get into the round of 64. It's been as high as 8, it's been as low as 5. Where do you see that number finishing out once we finally get the regionals all set?
I think it's a strong 7. I think
Okay.
it should be more. It should be
Yeah.
more. 7 feels like the right number. And
Yeah.
I don't want to try to play Joe Lenardi just because I don't like whatever the heck is about to happen at your tournament, like it's going to tell everything. And
Yeah.
whatever it is, it's going to be weird. Like Texas Tech in this tourney, like they have not had a great season.
Right.
Anybody want to bet against Tadlock? Like anybody? I won't. Like I refuse to do it. So it's impossible to predict, but just know that mayhem is coming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Couple more for you here. Want to ask you about, you mentioned Cincinnati. Talk about a couple teams kind of down towards the bottom that are right on that bubble, hovering around that bubble of the round of 64. Another one that's kind of been projected the last few weeks, which is kind of a surprise, to myself, especially with kind of the down year that they had. Oklahoma State, another team, Kansas State. Where do you see those teams, and how do you gauge their season? Because Oklahoma State was projected to win the conference this year, and now they're kind of, scratching and clawing to fight their way in.
Yeah, they are. They're probably one of the hotter teams in the country.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah. The guys are finally starting to hit, it seems like.
It's in the bats woke up. That's
yeah.
exactly what it was. They're a lot like A&M fan. A&M A&M fans were upset, and I was like, just stay calm. Like the weekend pitching has been too good.
Yeah.
Right? Like you expected big things out of these bats, and they just struggled. So Oklahoma State's a very similar case where like they got really good weekend starting pitching at the beginning of the year, and now they just bought time for the bats to get going. A little bit more of an advantageous back half and second half of the Big 12 slate where they could really like, hey, let's go with suffocate teams. Like you saw them get better on Sundays, which is to me a sign of a really good ball club. Parlay that with some really deep bullpen work as well. So they're a really interesting team where if they make a run this week, I can see them going from being a 3 seed to a 2 seed.
Mm.
They're a fun team. I know that they're everyone's sleeper to win this thing. And I think there's a reason for it. I like the bottom half of the Big 12 tournament too. I think like that. You can make a little run in that bottom half.
Agreed. Well, last question for you here. Are there any under the radar kind of, whether it's a team, I know we just talked about Oklahoma State, obviously. You've talked about Cincinnati a little bit, maybe Kansas State. Is there an under the radar team or player that folks maybe should, keep an eye on this weekend? You mentioned even at the beginning, just like coming out of this tournament, we might say, why haven't we been watching this guy or this team all year? What's that either team or player to you?
It's interesting.
It's a loaded question, but
how chalk do you want me to go? Do you know what I mean? Like I can get really weird. Like I can
get weird. Oh, let's get weird. Yeah. Let's see it.
I'll go chalk first.
Okay.
I don't know how chalk it is. My eyes are on TCU. Yeah. I did like a fall report on them, and then watching them come out of it, I know that that's not like a surprise pick.
Sure.
Like what Tommy Laporte does every single weekend with the Horned Frogs is nothing short of spectacular. So like real Big 12 fans know who this guy is. And if you are even scrolling social media.
We had him on our show earlier this year. So yeah.
Did you? Okay. So like
it's fantastic.
he's a monster.
Yeah.
And he gives them length. He stuffs his growth. It's great, vertical induced braking. Like, I'll bore you to death with all the numbers. Like, he's really good, and there's a reason he's up for the Dick Hauser. He's a name that I think needs more love.
Mm-hmm.
They've got insane studs in that freshman class, and a lot of guys that, I think, rightfully deserving of this, attention. But for me, he feels like he deserves more on a national scale. So I'll go Tommy Lepore, because it feels like he's a guy that, you're looking at a super regional and TCU wins a big game and Lepore goes 8 innings and everyone's like, oh man, this guy's gross. And you're like, we know.
Right. Oh, I like that. And he's a guy who we've talked about all year. And you mentioned that freshman class. We also had Sawyer Strauss-Snyder on the show as well. I mean, just a stud. Just talk about a stud who, was a draft guy coming out of school. And we talked about those transfers. Tommy Lepore, a Wichita State transfer, coming up to a Power 5 school. And, he talked about that a little bit as well. So it's fascinating. But last question for you. If you can just kind of give an overarching, you talked about it at the beginning here, but kind of coming full circle, looking at the state of college baseball, I guess kind of, what hands are we in here? How good of hands are we in, I guess is a better way to put it, when it comes to the state of college baseball right now?
Oh, no, that's a great question, man.
Yeah.
It's something that you can tell you obviously are very passionate about this, and your energy is contagious, dude. So you've got me fired.
I'm back at you, man.
Oh,
it's the best sport ever. Yeah.
It's the best, dude. It's the absolute best. And man, we're so blessed because of all the craziness that I know a lot of people are upset about. It has allowed our sport to be in a position where now it's the best it's ever been from a talent standpoint. Right? When you cut the draft down, you're now promoting for kids to go further their education, which is a missing piece of the puzzle in all of this. So they're going to college, they're getting that college experience. They're becoming men from a maturation standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, but then also looking at the technology of all of this, what was secluded to the big league level that was just for power fours, but then now is in the junior college ranks. You're seeing high school kids come in with college and former big league workouts under their belts, and they're bigger and stronger and faster, and they're understanding the kinetics of the body, and they're studying the track. They have an understanding of the sport paired with a physicality that it's never seen before. Thus, we've got a product that is unrecognizable. Dude, 10 years ago, Aroldis Chapman threw 100 miles an hour in ESPN. Remember the old ticker?
Oh, yeah.
It was excitement. It was a rarity. Now we got 40 guys that have touched triple digits this year in college baseball. This is nuts. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. It fires me up. So I think the sport is in a great place, and it's only going to keep getting better.
I couldn't agree more. And it's funny, Aroldis Chapman, 10, 11, 12 years later is still throwing over triple digits. So we're only going to see more of that, I assume. But Jack, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Tell the people where they can find you and everything that you're doing.
No, I appreciate you having me on, Casey. It means more than you know. So on all podcast streaming platforms, obviously Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. But then Jack Delongchamps on Twitter and Instagram, and then the Pencil Talk Pod. So Casey alluded to it, but we'll interview college baseball players and athletes all season long with a pencil instead of a microphone. That's right. Because remember, folks, microphones they're overrated.
I love it. Well, Jack, thank you so much. And folks, if you want to find more, you can check us out on the Big 12 Conference's YouTube channel and wherever you get your socials at Big 12 Studios. Thanks so much for tuning in.